are not promoted because they're not profitable. That they can't control it. They don't have a patent on it.
I'm sorry, can you pause it? Why has the medical... So all of the other drugs that they're talking about, ivermectin, created by Big Pharma, hydroxychloroquine, created by Big Pharma. Earlier, like in this conversation, they were talking about monoclonal antibodies, and Rogan was saying, oh, they don't make that available for everybody. Like, why not? And, well, you know who's also like working in that field is the pharmaceutical industry. It's the reason that it's not working for people is because it's for profit. It's not because of specific drugs that you've decided are based on pseudoscience are harming people. The reason that our medical system isn't working for people is overall that it is for profit. That is the problem. And these charlatans and this, I don't know, this lunatic Mel Gibson over there who looks like a caricature of everybody's racist uncle, and he seems very energized. I mean, they are exploiting people's deep pain that they've experienced with the American healthcare system. Two very rich guys who can take different treatments a la carte and experiment with stuff with their doctors and do these homeopathic treatments in addition to any additional care that they may need because they literally have millions of dollars to do so. Selling snake oil to an audience that is like the rest of us, the 99% of people in this country who have a horrible experience with the for-profit healthcare system. But it's not individual treatments within the for-profit healthcare system that we need to be targeting via the Joe Rogan experience. It's about the for-profit healthcare system. The
idea that they would ever suggest undermining the profit motive in any industry is absurd. I'm not a doctor. It's quite possible that maybe, well, quite possible is a little strong. Maybe you should go to Mel Gibson for all of your medical treatments. And there's no doctors out there that would possibly be would use this stuff. Only rogue doctors. In fact, in the thread of that, I saw one of the doctors, this guy Makis, I think, who said that he's the one who prescribed this stuff to, or not prescribed it, because you don't need a prescription from this. You can, you get it at the, like, what do you call it? The tractor store. Or other places that serve veterinary, or I should say livestock. But he oversaw how much he was this person was taking, I guess. And that was a treatment. This is a doctor who was, I think, had a lot of problems with medical associations for almost a decade now. From what I can see, up in Canada. But the idea that they're on this platform, which is also profit-driven, like the exact sort of impetus for why they're claiming nobody knows that ivermectin and this other drug they're talking about cures cancer.
Stage 4 cancer.
Stage 4 cancer. No more specifics. You don't need any more specifics about the cancer than that. It's just the worst cancer and a bunch of other things going on.
And all three of his only 3 friends all had stage 4 cancer?
Well, I mean, look, maybe...
And they all took ivermectin, and they all survived. It just seems a little convenient in terms of a story. First of all, we all know that Mel doesn't have more than 2 friends, okay? So that already was difficult to sit with.
The interesting thing is, and somebody brings up this point, Hogtown, the guy on chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and ivermectin says, I found the miracle cure, right? Like, I mean, you might want to know what other things that they're taking, and what other therapies they're going through. And if you take little enough ivermectin, it's not going to hurt you. If you take little enough of it, but the idea that this is a secret cure, and the reason why we don't know about it is because everyone in the industry, all of these doctors are completely invested in making sure that nobody gets that, as if oncologists wouldn't make a ton of money just sort of overseeing that in some fashion, is absurd. If you're really concerned about medicines that aren't getting to the public, you should look into the for-profit nature of the entire industry, because there is a ton of research that is not pursued because it's not profitable. But the idea that there's this sort of like huge grand conspiracy to deny people the reality of ivermectin. Incidentally, another big ivermectin paper on its efficacy during COVID has just been retracted by one of the medical journals that published it, I think just literally the other day. But the idea that this is a secret knowledge, these guys are on a platform making hundreds of millions of dollars by putting out these lies about like sort of secret facts, secret knowledge that you can only get here. Nobody else is going to talk about it.
You feel disempowered over your health care? Come to us. Consume our podcast that will tell you how empowered you can be by purchasing something different than what your doctor is telling you. If this is all about profit, like the fact that these drugs are being hidden from people, why are drug prices in the United States 278% higher than in 33 other countries per a report earlier last year in the Association of Healthcare Journalists?
Is in Europe, is that what they're treating people with? Ivermectin and
must be, but when you look at the drugs,
is that what we're doing in Europe?
Apparently, but not really, because when you look drug by drug, I'll take COVID out of it, drugs that people need that I would hope that Rogan and I don't really care what Mel Gibson thinks, that Rogan and others would say, like, okay, inhalers or insulin, other medicines that are widely needed. It's much cheaper just when you go over to Canada or when you go over to Europe. If this is a international conspiracy by pharmaceutical companies, why are they just targeting us here in the United States? I don't know, something to ponder. Or could it be that we have enabled for-profit healthcare to gouge folks for worse outcomes? And you have these freaks misleading people into thinking that it's just the problems of, like, I don't know, the system hiding these things.
Ivermectin became such a sort of like, they're so weird.
I know.
The way that they glom on to like these random things. Like what did happen to hydrochloroquine? Was that too hard for people to pronounce, and so they decided that's not the miracle drug anymore?
I'm not up on my crazy, so I can't tell you.
I thought that was maybe what Gibson was referring to also, if he just didn't know how to pronounce it when he said like hydrochloride or something.
I mean, it's hydroxychloroquine, and to be fair to him, Sam didn't get it either, so.
What's that? What is
It's hydroxychloroquine.
Oh, I can't pronounce it. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.
I forget I was streaming.
Because what Joe
here's
does that you don't have the capacity to do is not make it all about himself.
Hold on. Hold on. There's a clip. Dude, hold on.
That's
you. I'm not interrupting. I'm having a conversation.
Yeah, okay.
That's how conversations work.
Agreed. Yeah.
You know, he says everything cool.
Yeah.
Wait, try to guess what I'm
Shut
thinking.
the fuck up, Bert. Jesus Christ.
I know where this is going.
Let him talk. Bruce Willis has a neurological condition.
Yes.
I
He's
forget.
not doing well.
I forget what it's called.
Yes.
It's called aphasia. I think I might have
Yeah,
it.
you're right. You're right.
I talk about it
You just bring
nonstop.
it back to yourself.
Of course.
Wait, and you wanted to kill her?
Did I tell you what?
Wait, you wanted to kill this lady?
Hold on. I got a better one. I got a better one.
What happened with that one?
Hold on. I got this better one.
We got to come back to that.
Tell
one.
me.
What?
Did I tell you about the lady that wouldn't serve me at the airport? Joe, I'm sorry. I ruined Sober October.
You didn't really ruin it. We just stopped. Everybody got busy, and then we didn't do it.
This episode hit a lot of notes.
It did a lot of notes.
So back in 2019, Joe Rogan kicked off a yearly tradition with Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, and Ari Shafir called Sober October. And back then, the idea was very simple. It was to try and help out Bert Kreischer, who was known for his heavy drinking and wild partying, to slow down and be healthy for at least that 1 month.
Let's talk about what your current drinking status is. So, because to get in the approach, can you recap, what an average week is like?
Yeah. Okay. First of all, this isn't an intervention. We're all friends, right?
No, right.
No, we're setting up the
But it quickly became more than just a fun challenge. It was a massive hit and a successful podcast episode that a lot of the fans liked. In fact, it was so successful and so big that it pushed Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura to start their own podcast, Two Bears, One Cave. And back then, that podcast was up there on the list among the top comedy podcasts at the moment, which is pretty wild. And so naturally, it became a great way to promote and sell a ton of tickets for the live shows.
The real game changer is we do Sober October the first year.
Gay.
And gay. And so I tell, and it did really well. And I noticed that it moved tickets for the rest of the tour. All of a sudden, everything cleaned up and everything out of the show. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
But fast forward to today, and that once beloved tradition is absolutely gone. I mean, now Joe Rogan has a new crew for those big comedy podcasts, now called Protect Our Parks. But also the whole dynamic between Tom, Bert, and Joe Rogan doesn't seem to be as close as it used to be back then. So then what happened? Why did Sober October end, or why haven't they done another episode? And how much of it was it because of Bert Kreischer's personality? And well, funny enough, Bert actually brought it up on the most recent episode of Two Bears, One Cave with Ari Shafir. And at some points, things got a little bit intense and awkward as Bert Kreischer realized that once again, he might be the problem.
Ari, as a member of both Sober October and Protect Your Parks.
Oh, yeah, you're the only one.
Protect our parks,
You're the only one.
Please have some respect.
You're the only
Put respect
one.
on their name.
What's that?
Put respect on their name.
We've never watched an episode. We refuse to.
Okay.
We just think it's kind of ridiculous that we got replaced.
Yeah.
Just replaced.
Straight up
two new
replaced.
white guys. At least make it diverse. Bring in an Asian or a black guy.
No.
Wait, you didn't pick it.
I did pick it. I'm the one who.
No, he brought
pitched
them
it.
there.
I said, hey, we're going to Skankfest. We're going a day
hold on.
early. Who wants
You
us?
replaced us?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you were showing me some disrespect off the free drugs I gave you. No, thank you. And then so forth.
Wait.
And then I said, okay, I'll move on.
We got replaced because you drugged me and I didn't enjoy it?
You did enjoy it.
But no,
You
hold
didn't
on.
act like you
Hold
enjoyed
on.
it.
Hold on. I thought Joe replaced us.
And look, what's really interesting and also mind-blowing, but not new, is Bert Kreischer's ability to make everything about himself, which is the main point of this video, because when it comes to Ari Shafir, I mean, he went on the show on Two Bears One Cave, not only to say hi to Tom and Bert, but mainly to promote his new comedy special that he finally got on Netflix. And somehow, Bert Kreischer was able to make it all about himself by creating this insane narrative in his head that isn't even true, because technically, Joe Rogan has never said that Sober October was officially done and it would never happen. But also, I'm pretty sure that if Bert really wanted to, he could make it happen. I mean, Joe Rogan is still doing the Fight Companions with Brennan Schaub here and there, so it's not like he just completely replaced them. But then what made me think that maybe Joe Rogan is actually avoiding doing any podcasts with Bert Kreischer was the way that Ari Shaffir responded to Bert's question, because on the one hand, Ari's making it seem like if nothing really happened, he's being silly and making dumb excuses. But then on the other, he's also making some very solid points that would make me believe that maybe Joe Rogan behind the scenes has been talking to them about why Sober October hasn't happened or won't happen anymore. And by the way, don't forget to like the video. It helps out so much and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I said to Joe and Tom, hey,
And Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Austin. I sent them both texts with Norman and Shane, and I said we got to go to Houston. We can stop for a day before. You want like a 4? And Joe's like, yeah.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm the only one that cares.
Tom's like, I'm running an empire. I don't.
Guys, I have a career also, but like,
Yeah.
but also I do go. It would be fun to get that Joe.
To get that laid back.
The fun, to protect your parks, Joe, is not Sober October,
Protect our
Joe.
parks. No, it's pretty close. It's pretty close. We just get tuned up, and all you do is chat. None of us challenge them to workouts.
You know I'm going to blow out my pecs trying to do 15 today.
Do it. Blow them out.
Do it.
If you do, I'll do 20.
Do it. If you guys aren't.
You guys will
I
do
love this about you.
We'll take it to the death.
I love this about you.
You don't love it.
I love that you own a little territory in my head.
You don't love it.
I do.
You don't.
I do.
You think you love it.
absolutely
You think you love it
do.
until we're actually engaged in competition. And then it's an
Joe.
anxiety when you get up to piss in the middle of the night. I know you think about it.
None of us on Protect Our Parks go, let's do a push-up.
Wait, hold on.
contest.
I think I'm getting I'm understanding. Am I the problem?
You're the factor. I wouldn't say problem.
You're a fact. You're a key factor for sure.
Because also, part of it is that when you come in, he's going like, how's this guy alive? You know,
you're the self-help guy.
Yeah, he's
Self-help guy.
No, you're not self-help. He's like, let's help this guy, not self-help. No, what's the opposite of
This is
self-help?
backfiring totally.
Yeah.
And also keep in mind that being replaced or losing Sober October, it's not just about the friendship with Joe Rogan, but also the massive financial hits, because once again, those episodes with Joe and 3 other comedians are massively successful and they definitely help selling tickets on the road. You could argue that because those comedians on those episodes are seen as Joe Rogan's closest friends or best friends, they do get an extra level of endorsements from Joe Rogan. Now, to be fair, when it comes to Ari Shaffir, he's always been honest with Bert Kreischer and has called him out a lot in the past, even though Bert has always been a lot more successful than Ari. And so when he makes that comment that Bert Kreischer could definitely work on not making everything about himself, it does make me believe that maybe Joe Rogan had told Ari Shaffir how annoying it was dealing with Bert Kreischer because of that trait.
All right. What's better? Sushi in Japan, or like that high-end sushi, or pasta in Europe? Like when you're in Italy.
Yeah, low-level food's good too.
No,
It's
but
like-
I mean, like what? Like if you had
Why
to
does
pick,
everything have to be a competition with you, Bert?
I'm just trying to start a conversation. I
Starting
want you to pick
lists.
teams.
Yeah, some of that shit's great too. A local, small, like
Handmade
sandwich
pasta,
and
handmade tortillas.
And so at this point, and after all this time, it's hard to feel bad for Bert Kreischer, because I'm pretty sure we all know somebody like him, someone that is always making it about them. They always try to one-up everyone around them, and they lie for no reason. And it becomes so draining and annoying that it does become easier to just cut them off and stop talking to them.
So do you think we'll ever do Sober October again?
We should. I got a new special out. That would be a good excuse to come do one.
Yeah, but can I be Joe?
You can be Joe. Let's make him not sit in that seat.
Okay.
Oh, you want to sit in the seat?
I want to be Joe.
It's just,
How do you get to be How are you going to
Because
Because Joe, what
Okay,
Joe
here's
does
my-
that you don't have the capacity to do is not
listen.
make it all about himself.
Hold on. Hold on. There's a clip. Dude, hold on.
That's a-
you. you.
There's got to be a clip out there of you not interrupting.
No.
Look that up.
I'm not interrupting. I'm having a conversation.
Yeah, okay.
That's how conversations work.
Agreed. Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say, if you said and then I go, God, that's crazy. I would never be able to do that. And then because Joe's done that, he goes, don't make it about you. I go, but that's how life works. I think of things and I go, that's amazing. I could never run 25 miles.
Yeah.
You know, like I could never run 50 miles.
And look, to be fair, this isn't new. That was the whole point of Two Bears, One Cave. It was basically Bert Kreischer talking about himself and his crazy and insane lifestyle, and Tom Segura would just laugh at it. But when it comes to Sober October, even though technically it was started to try and help out Bert Kreischer, once it blew up and became a massive show, it wasn't just about Bert Kreischer, and it was a comedy show, but Bert Kreischer didn't understand that and continued to try and make it all about himself every single time.
But I'll be Joe. I won't make anything about myself.
Okay.
We'll put Joe in my seat. No.
I don't think we sit in the same seats there, do we? I'm not sure.
We always sit in the same seats when we do it.
Well, I'm going to a different seat next time. I'm going to put on a costume. I'm going to go in a different seat. And I'm going to put in earplugs so I don't interrupt anybody. Then I can't hear anybody.
That won't do it.
You just go, it starts now.
Maybe a muzzle. Wait. You guys got to have a fucking ball gag here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be really fun for me.
And would you get French fries
How would you run the show? How would it be different? What would you do?
Yeah.
You would just be like, welcome to the Bert experience?
Yeah, welcome to the Bert experience. The Bert experience. I'm here with my 3 favorite people.
That's pretty good.
And I start and I go, obviously, Joe Rogan. He's like a big brother to me. I can't wait to get some great life advice from him. I got Tom Segura here, one of my best friends in the world. And obviously, a guy I can't live without, Ari Shaffir. Guys, welcome to the podcast.
Wow.
Hey, would anyone like a joint?
Wow, that's a good start.
You're crushing it.
You're doing great.
And then I'll go, I'm so sorry, I wasn't listening. Will you say that one more time? I do that a lot.
Okay, and then like, what's the first like conversation starter?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Say that one more time. It's not. You should just be listening.
I'd just be like, I was listening, and I think that's a great point.
And look, what's really wild is that at this point, I don't think it's even possible for Bert Kreischer to actually change and not talk about himself or have a conversation in which he's not the center of attention. But also when it comes to Joe Rogan and Tom Segura, who has been following in his footsteps, because for the past 4 or 5 years, they have changed so much, both in terms of their comedy, their podcast, and being more business focused, from Tom Segura launching a vodka with Bert Kreischer to Joe Rogan now flooding his podcast episodes with a bunch of ad reads, which at some point he was super against. And so because of all that, even if they did do another Sober October or an episode with all 4 of them together, I don't think it would be the same thing as before. And it is mainly because even though Bert Kreischer likes to pretend like he sees Joe Rogan as a big brother, he never follows his advice. And now looking back, I wouldn't be surprised if deep down, Bert Kreischer was so delusional and his ego was so out of control that he actually saw Joe Rogan as his competition.
Bruce Willis has a neurological condition.
Yes.
I
He's
forget.
not doing well.
I forget what it's called.
Yes.
It's called aphasia. I think I might have
Yeah,
it.
you're right. You're right.
I talk about it
You just bring
nonstop.
it back to yourself?
Of course.
We're just here talking about
I
Bert.
can't look at a post and not think about me.
Like he said, he says everything cool.
Yeah.
Wait, try to guess what I'm
Shut
thinking.
the fuck up, Bert. Jesus Christ.
I know where this is going.
Let him talk.
He goes, let me get a flick with you.
You just embrace this aspect of yourself. It seems you don't like it. It makes you angry when it comes out. You get upset at yourself, but yet you also embrace it.
Yeah.
It's so gross, though. It's so gross.
It's like you're playing tic-tac-toe against yourself.
I think you guys approach things very differently.
We do, and I think I drive you fucking nuts.
No, you don't.
I have to. I know I drive you nuts.
You drove me nuts during Sober October.
You bring out his competitive spirit.
bring that out.
There's a monster in there. And you let him out of the cage.
But I love your monster.
Yeah.
Like the way a younger brother would like needling his big brother. I like your monster.
Here's the one of the big things I think is super different is that he approaches things of like, all right, if I want to be proficient at this thing, I'm going to do it every day because that's how you get good, the consistency and the discipline.
Yeah.
And you go, you know what? I think I can wing this shit. And be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big philosophical differences of how you approach life.
Yeah.
And even though we can't confirm or know the real reason why they haven't done a Sober October episode, I did rewatch the last one, Sober October, And it was actually very interesting and shocking seeing how much Joe Rogan was getting mad and annoyed at Bert Kreischer, which is a very tough thing to do, but it happened multiple times. And so based on that episode and also based on Ari's comments, it does make me think that Joe Rogan no longer has that patience for Bert Kreischer. Again, back then, it was silly and funny knowing that Bert Kreischer was drinking boxes of wine, gallons of Kool-Aid, and living a wild touring lifestyle. But after years and years of the same thing, it gets boring, and even his own best friend, Tom Segura, is clearly over the whole thing and also no longer has the same patience for Bert Kreischer. For example, on recent episodes, including that one, Tom just lets Bert Kreischer ramble and go off without really having any input or joke, and instead he just reacts and makes faces as if he's also shocked and disagrees with how out of control Bert Kreischer is. And now, this is when things get very intense, but very interesting, because keep in mind that this happens towards the end of the episode at the very end, but it did happen after they had the whole conversation about how Bert Kreischer should really try to not make everything about himself. And then, no lie, for the last 5 to 10 minutes of the episode, he makes it all about himself in the worst way possible, because the whole time, the entire time, Tom Segura was uncomfortable and clearly trying to end the episode and get out of there, but Bert Kreischer was absolutely out of control.
Wait, and you wanted to kill her?
Did I tell you what?
You wanted to kill this lady?
Hold on, I got a better one. I got a better one.
What about that one?
Hold on, I got this better one.
We really got to come back to that.
Tell me,
What?
did I tell you about the lady that wouldn't serve me at the airport?
Okay.
I get off the plane in Nashville. I get a celebratory beer because I made it. I'm alive.
Wait, you do a beer when you land?
What? Let's not nitpick this story. Yes.
Wait.
Okay.
When I land, I get a beer off the plane.
At the terminal.
Yes. So I get off the plane. I go to get a celebratory beer, and Pete's with me. And I said, "Yeah, can we get? Do you have Stella?" She goes, "No." And I went, "Okay." Well, Pete's with me, and Pete's go, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Can you grab me a beer? I said,
No offer of what else they have?
I said, she goes, no. And I said,
I already hate her.
And so I said, well, do you have any Stella-esque? She goes, yeah. I said, great, I'll get 2 of those. She goes, I can only serve you 1. And I said, well, no, my buddy just went to the bathroom. Never mind, I'll just take 1. And then she goes, okay. And then I go, he's going to be back in a second, so you might want to just start pouring 2. He's the guy you just saw. And she goes, I can only serve you 1. And I went, okay. And so she goes, I need to see your ID. And I was like, I'm looking around now. What happens here, a little outside part of the story, everyone at the bar recognizes me. Every single person at that bar is a dude who drinks, who's probably heard me say, never quit drinking. And they're all recognizing me, and they're coming over and getting pictures. Now, part of me likes this interaction because she knows whatever's happening is going to be okay. I'm a normal person.
Yeah.
Now, this isn't the first time that Bert Kreischer tells one of those insane stories, which they're all basically about him not getting recognized or treated like a superstar or a famous person, especially by someone who is doing their job and in his head is supposed to treat him a lot nicer because he is rich and famous. And what's really crazy is that at this point, we do have a ton of stories about Bert Kreischer having a meltdown or having some sort of confrontation while he's trying to drink and while he's trying to be the center of attention. And keep in mind that those stories were told by Bert Kreischer on the podcast. So now imagine all the things that have happened behind the scenes that Bert Kreischer will never tell on air.
Give her my ID. She hands back my ID, and then she gives me a little sip of beer. Pete arrives at this moment. A little sip of beer, and I go, what's this? And she goes, this is what we have, this like Stella. I said, oh, no, it's fine. I'll just take 2 of those. And she goes, you know what? I'm not comfortable serving you. And
What?
And I went, excuse me? And now everyone stopped. She goes, I'm not comfortable serving you. You make me uncomfortable. So what I did, and I was not proud of this, is I said, I apologize if I made you uncomfortable anyway. I have 2 daughters that are roughly your age. I would never want a man to make them feel uncomfortable. I'll go on my way. And I tipped her $20. And she went, excuse me? I said, here's $20 for your trouble. I apologize. And I walked away. I was up at night screaming at the fucking pillow going, you fucking, and because that's what I wanted to do.
Sure, but you took the higher road.
I took the high road, but the high road sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks.
Now here's her night. She's talking to some guy. How is she attractive or not so much?
Nah.
Okay, she's talking to some guy or a friend. She goes, how's work today? It was like, it was fine, but this guy came in. I've never played it as well. I just said, F off, I'm not giving you beer, and he just gave me $20.
And once again, that right there shows you why Sober October hasn't happened again, because in a room with Bert Kreischer, Ari Shaffir, and Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer absolutely took over the whole conversation. He hijacked the conversation in Ari's episode to make it all about himself because he could. And so at this point, simply adding Joe Rogan to that group wouldn't make it any better, in my opinion. And it might be sad, but once again, the dynamic is no longer there and people do change. And so the chances of Sober October coming back and being a big thing are very low, in my opinion. And it was pretty tough to watch because on the one hand, Bert Kreischer was being genuine, he was being honest, but on the other, you could tell that Tom and Ari were just trying to move on and get out of there since Bert Kreischer was going on and on about his insane story.
You know what she said? You know, this is even better. This is even better. Do you know, everyone at the bar watched this happen. Everyone at the bar was like, what the I walked away. This is what upset me the most, is that she was, and someone goes, do you know who you just did that to? And they go, who? She goes, that's Bert Kreischer. Then she Googles me, and then she's got her own narrative, because he was a total asshole. I was a total asshole. Yeah. All the good stuff I did, none of that counts, because she gets to tell her story. I was so angry.
Do you think, though, that when the part where she goes, you make me uncomfortable, it's probably when you were like, he's just went to the bathroom. He's going to be right here.
I didn't even say it like that, Tommy. I swear to God, my energy was like more confused. Like,
so was it that you got loud? You did something.
I didn't get loud at all.
She just.
What was happening was dudes were recognizing me, and they were getting. And she was like, I think the energy changed in the bar when I showed up, and she couldn't place it. Didn't know who I was. But I had 2 instances where that happened. I've had this where I took the high road and I said, and I just didn't say what I wanted to fucking say.
Yeah, it'd be so nice to Patrice it and just be like, you.
Yeah.
Get me your manager. You suck.
Yeah.
I didn't do shit to you.
Was anyone else working that bar?
No.
No.
And I know what gate it is, and I know that bar in Nashville, and I can't wait to go back.
Now, what's really shocking and interesting about this whole interaction is the massive difference of how Tom Segura used to defend Bert Kreischer back then to now. Because back then, he would actually side with him. For example, when Ari Shaffir was on Two Bears, One Cave, and he called him out for having a meltdown and fighting with Joe List over Thai food, Tom Segura was trying to understand and side with Bert Kreischer, but now he's even questioning if maybe it was Bert's fault that he was getting treated that way.
The thing is, they know all these people are temporary customers. You're not gonna be back.
He's actually going back soon.
Yeah.
He really is.
New Year's Eve, I'll be there. I'm going to stop, and I'm taking the same fucking flight from LA, and that same bar is going to be right there when I get off.
God, I hope she doesn't serve you again.
Right back.
I hope she says, no, I'm still not comfortable.
And you know what? I'm going to tip her $100. I'm going to tip her $100, and I'm going to start crying, and I'm going to make her uncomfortable. And I'm going to say, you're the one that hit my mom.
You're like, get you!
Leanne,
the whole village.
We went to
you should do it.
I can't get into this. I went to a, I think I texted you, I went to a liberal party one time. Like a real liberal, everyone's wearing masks outside and everything.
Oh, nice.
And I got in trouble for putting my hand in the ice.
Who yelled at you?
Dude with the mask.
Was like, don't touch it.
What are you doing? And I was like, I'm getting ice. And he was like, with your hand? They make tongs for that. And I was like,
nothing to do with the mask, just a separate, don't do that.
Like he just, and I was like, I'm not gonna go into someone's house, look for tongs to get ice that we just slammed on the fucking ground to break it up. You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
And
now, obviously, at this point, it is impossible to know if Sober October is actually done or if it will continue. But from the looks of it, it does seem like Joe Rogan has officially moved on with the new crew. But yeah, maybe it is the case that they simply got way too famous and busy to record a podcast episode. Or maybe there is a chance that Joe Rogan no longer wants to record with Bert Kreischer, at least not for now. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. Dislike if you didn't like the video. But that is all we have for today. See ya.
A RuneScape-addicted emo teenager who stabbed his classmates. A vegan conspiracy theorist who starved himself and stared at the sun until he had a mental breakdown. A carnivore who bit into animal carcasses at vegan rallies and ate rotten meat on camera. A serial abuser who started a cult in Romania and stole his girlfriend's passport to keep her from leaving. An attempted murderer who blackmailed a man into throwing acid on his ex-wife and 2 3-year-old son. It may be hard to believe that these are all the same guy, but they are. His name is Sverige, and he is the ultimate internet psychopath. Sverige's real name is Gatis Langsdish, and he was born in Latvia, which we know thanks to the About Me section of his old YouTube page. And when I say old, I mean ancient. His first account was created in 2006, and it really showed since his page was decked out in emo music and aesthetics, which he was heavily into at the time. Imagine having your emo phase documented online. Couldn't be me. His channel was centered around RuneScape, specifically a part of the game referred to as PKing, meaning killing other players for experience and loot. By the time he made the channel, he'd already been playing for a year under a different alias, Kids Rank. According to Sverige, his first RuneScape videos with that name became popular because of the unique emo music he played during them, which led to a bit of a blunder on his part. You see, he wanted to host the music he used in his videos, but had no space left on his main channel. So he created a secondary channel called I'm Into Kids Rank Music, which sounds a lot like I'm Into Kids Rank Music. Regardless, Sverige became something of a known figure in the RuneScape community, claiming to have gotten 6 million views on one of his videos deathmatching another player. Despite how many hits his videos got, it was clear that his obsession with the game was waning. After one of his accounts got repeatedly hacked, he sold another one and abandoned 2 others just because he got bored of maintaining them. He continued to make RuneScape videos, but it was clear his interests were branching out. In an archive of his channel, his About Me section was updated to include the following passage. I hate humans. I enjoy reading about mass murders, school shootings, and stuff like that, hoping that they will release the Columbine basement tapes someday. But this isn't the first time that Sverige manifested these beliefs. In 2006, a Latvian news article was published that read, yesterday morning, Gatis Langsdish, a 10th grade student at Ventspils First High School, mentally lost his control and slashed out with a knife at 4 of his schoolmates. The injured students were taken to Ventspils Hospital, but the injuries were not serious. After treatment, all 4 went home. Christine Krlovska from Ventspils Criminal Police said that the attack was probably induced because of the past humiliation and bullying he received. It seems that Gatis Langsdish was obsessed with a film about the shooting at Columbine High School. He also planned to take himself out, but he backed out, said Levo Rexna, head of the state police's press and public relations department. There is very little information about this case online, not just because of how old it is, but also because it took place in a small city in Latvia. There is one other article that seems to be covering his case, but it omits his name entirely, where it includes the claim that his attack on the school was him reenacting a movie. A Kiwi Farms poster claiming to have been a part of Sverige's audience at the time commented on this, saying, Gatis used to be obsessed with the Columbine shooting. He'd bring it up a lot unprompted. I think he requested to delete some entries from the Wayback Machine because I recall him being very public about this and even had it on his YouTube profile. In the late 2000s, he tried to reenact Columbine at his high school. It prompted a lot of trolls to spam it all over his videos once it was found out, but it had very little effect. The guy was a legend in the RuneScape community. He blocked and deleted all the spammers who tried to share it on his videos. Later on that same year, he further distanced himself from RuneScape content by privating all of his videos, which his audience didn't take very well, and they even resorted to calling him an N-word F-word. Shout out iDubbbz. Some of his videos were re-uploaded, but Sverige was done with that kind of content, now focusing solely on music-related uploads, even creating a blog about it. This rebranding wasn't half as successful as his former work, but he didn't seem to care very much, as he continued to just do this for the next few years. For a while there, the people following his online presence had no idea what he was like as a person, until 2011, when he began revealing himself to be a bit of a conspiracy theorist.
There's probably close to 4 million practicing Satanists in the United States alone, based on my intelligence.
For context, late 2000s YouTube was absolutely riddled with this kind of schizo content, and it had a lot less stigma than it does now. But still, this was very much out of left field. His videos started consisting almost exclusively of unedited vlogs of him talking about the New World Order and the Illuminati. Given what is known to happen when long-haired Northern European guys into dark rock music start believing in conspiracy theories, this was a really bad sign of things to come. It's not worth it to get into the many hours of Sverige's schizo rants, so to summarize, he'd become the Eastern mysticism flavor of conspiracy theorist. He believed that morality is relative, there's no such thing as good or evil, nature is magical, religions were created to manipulate humanity, and so on and so forth. Although it is kind of absurd in a comedic way when he explains how he thinks that there were no planes in 9/11, it gets a bit more worried.
Dude, there's nothing funnier. There is nothing funnier than saying TikTok is responsible for the spread of misinformation, which it is, okay? That's true. But exclusively TikTok is responsible for spreading misinformation? SCOTUS is hearing oral arguments about banning TikTok. Also, here is Scott Geller on MSNBC talking about the revolutionary sentiment. that is sparking amongst the working class that must liberate themselves from the must emancipate themselves and crush the chains of capital. We're going to be covering that as well. And then I'll also get to the Lake and Riley Act and how devastating and dangerous that is. Did I say Scott Galloway or did I say the wrong? Yeah, he sucks, by the way. Scott Galloway is awful. Did I say Scott Geller? Oh.
We'll hear oral arguments today regarding the law that would effectively shut down the video sharing app in the U.S. And now President-elect Trump is weighing in. Dan Abrams standing by to break down the arguments. First, senior White House correspondent Selena Wang is at the court. Good morning, Selena.
TikTok will make its last stand. The app is set to be banned just days from now, so TikTok is making its final plea to stay in America.
Yeah, this is how they're making the plea. Look at these cool ass dances.
It's one of the most popular social media apps in America with an estimated 100 million.
Why is Scott Galloway bad? Yeah, he has interesting thoughts on toxic masculinity. Okay, that's fine. Just don't look at what he has to say about Palestinians and students who are in favor of Palestinian emancipation, or even like all this other stuff about like his opinion on masculinity and stuff. He's got a lot of weird takes. Anyway, let's continue with this.
Home to viral moments and everything from how-to tutorials.
You have to make these chopped Italian sandwiches. These
to fashion and beauty trends.
These over here are the Cyber Monday deals I'm low-key looking at.
But in just 9 days, TikTok is set to disappear from America's app stores after Congress passed a law forcing its Chinese parent company ByteDance to sell the app or face a ban. Lawmakers from both parties and the White House argue it's a serious national security risk.
Oh, by the way, they are going to come after Tencent. They're going to come after League of Legends. I'm just letting you know right now. I am letting you know right now. They're going to come after League of Legends. They're going to come after Valorant. They're going to come after the drone producers. What is it called? DJI or whatever, the Chinese drone manufacturers. They're going to come after Chinese router companies like TP-Link. I'm just letting you know. DJI, sorry, yeah. Yes, Marvel Rivals might be on the chopping block. I am letting you know right now that the way things are going, they're going to try to clamp down on anything and everything that is made in China. This panic is not going away. It is not going to subside. It is going to get much worse. Let's continue.
The Chinese government can force TikTok to hand over Americans' data and use the app to spread misinformation. TikTok denies those claims, saying its American operations are separate and arguing
Dude, there's nothing funnier. There is nothing funnier than saying TikTok is responsible for the spread of misinformation, which it is. Okay, that's true. But exclusively TikTok is responsible for spreading misinformation. Have you seen Twitter? Have you seen Facebook? Have you seen any of the social media platforms out there? Like, if you cared about the dissemination of truth, right? Or if you cared about like hate speech or you know, all of these like divisive, you know, all these divisive statements coming out of social media and like dividing the public, then apply European style restrictions. Then you will never do that, of course, because this has nothing to do with national security fears. This has nothing to do with misinformation that TikTok is causing, and everything to do with TikTok being a Chinese operated company that is literally sucking up the rest of the social media marketplace. And they want to ensure that they're the only game in town. American owned companies must dominate the land. TikTok doesn't offer the same backdoors that every other social media platform offers to the American intelligence agencies. That's a big problem for them. And also, it's not controlled by by an American that is malleable, by a Westerner that is, you know, easier to control. That's the reason. That's why they absolutely hate it.
and violates the First Amendment right to freedom of speech. So far, federal judges have sided with the government, but later today, the Supreme Court's 9 justices will hear the arguments that...
I know they're already coming for Tencent. U.S. asks Chinese tech giants to list of companies allegedly working with China's military. Yeah. Tencent. The U.S. Department of Defense has added Chinese tech companies Tencent, a social media and gaming giant, and CATL, the world's largest battery maker, to a list of firms that it alleges works with the Chinese military. And the thing is, they do. They do. Of course they do. You know who else works with the military, with their respective military? Every American company. Every company in the United States of America, from video game developers all the way to whatever, you know, whatever goods manufacturing we have that remains here, okay? It's so stupid. If anything, the Chinese collaboration with the government / the Chinese military is much more limited than the American, overt American collaboration that every single one of our software companies and hardware companies works directly with the American military. Yeah, from Microsoft to Facebook to Amazon, everything. If they take away my League of Legends, I'm going full treatlerite. Yeah, Tencent Epic Games also works with the U.S. military. Epic partners with SwordTech for government and military applications. Epic Games has selected SwordTech as our official provider of licensing. Inclusion of the Pentagon list does not result in immediate sanctions, but it could affect the reputations of the companies named and hinder their commercial progress, particularly if they want to do business in the United States. Shares in Tencent, which owns Chinese super app WeChat, were 6.5% lower in Hong Kong on Tuesday, while CATL's Shenzhen listed shares lost more than 3%. They joined dozens of other alleged Chinese military companies on the list that the Defense Department alleges operate directly or indirectly in the U.S., according to a notice posted in the Federal Register on Monday. The Pentagon has said the so-called 1260H list, which is updated annually, is an important continued effort in highlighting and countering China's military-civil fusion strategy, a goal to develop the most technologically advanced military in the world by eliminating barriers between the country's civilian, research, and commercial sectors and its armed forces. Meanwhile, we got this going on. Mr. Beast, Kelly Clarkson, and Guy Fieri were approved for Pentagon funds last year as military recruitment hits record lows. Look at that. Ridiculous.
Lock it down, Charlie. Losing A.
Yeah.
Like me.
Mark Zuckerberg openly admitting that Meta works with the intelligence community to identify foreign influence operations. Like, that's the major reason why they were so upset with TikTok too. And obviously, the straw that broke the camel's back was when they got the Israel lobby on board with banning TikTok. Because if you recall, Donald Trump initially said he wanted to ban TikTok when he was president. There was a lot of motion to ban TikTok. This materialized and became a full-blown... He wanted to do it via executive authority. It didn't work, right? Then they turned to Congress. And the final straw that broke the camel's back was post-October 7 when the ADL got involved. When ADL and other, Israel lobby arms got together and wanted to ban TikTok because there was too much pro-Palestinian sentiment going on those platforms, as opposed to like Meta, where if you say anything even remotely pro-Palestinian, you get banned. They were able to finally push Congress to take action, which they did, and then they voted for it, and then it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and now the Supreme Court is discussing whether or not to ban this website, and virtually all members of the supposedly liberal media, supposedly mainstream liberal media, are on board with this ban as well. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, given the advantages that he got from TikTok in a last-ditch effort, I think, from TikTok that opened up the content faucet for right-wing sentiment to thrive even more than it does, is now trying to save TikTok. At least That's what he's saying he wants to do.
That will determine TikTok's fate. After President-elect Donald Trump, who tried to ban TikTok during his first term, urged the Supreme Court to put the law on hold.
It's sad. It's really, really sad.
Hanging in the balance, many content creators and small businesses who make a living off of the app.
Hey there, I'm Nadia.
Like Nadia Okamoto, who has over 4 million followers.
If TikTok were to go away, we would be facing a really, really challenging situation.
Yeah, this is a very real issue because TikTok is virtually the only game in town for a lot of small businesses that have, you know, become very successful small businesses. It's not even a joke. Like this is straight up something that I brought. This is something that I brought up as well.
Situation.
Now, if the ban does go into effect, TikTok isn't just going to disappear from your phone, but new users won't be able to download it and you won't get those software updates, so eventually the app would just stop working. Now, the Supreme Court is expected to make its final decision sometime next week before that January 19th deadline. Guys?
Okay, Selena, thanks. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad because this means one less deliverable for me at work. I think that it is absolutely ridiculous that they are banning TikTok. Here's Mitt Romney openly admitting why they want to ban TikTok, by the way. I just want to point this out. Here it is.
So awful. I know that's not your area of expertise, but you have to have some thoughts on that, which is, I mean, as you said, why has Hamas disappeared in terms of public perception?
I don't know how you can see how badly TikTok has broken people's brains, and I think it's bad to ban it. I don't agree with their reasoning, but it would be a net good. No, you want to know why? Because, and I've repeated this over and over again, TikTok is one of the only social media platforms where there is leftist sentiment that routinely goes viral. Every other social media platform actively clamps on this sort of sentiment and genuinely stops its distribution. That's the reason why they want to ban TikTok to begin with. It's a major part of the problem. So I say, if there are going to be no restrictions whatsoever, then yeah, I don't want the only platform where there is somewhat of a 50-50 split on left-leaning sentiment versus right-wing supercharged conspiracy theories is better overall than platforms like Twitter that is like completely overtaken by neo-Nazi nonsense. That's it. Yeah, exactly. TikTok is the most left-wing platform, which isn't saying much, by the way. Just so you understand, TikTok being the most left-wing platform doesn't mean that it's like all leftist content on there. It's not that at all. There's plenty of right-wing nut jobs on there too. There's plenty of conspiracy theories on there as well. What do you think will replace it? It seems inevitable that it'll be taken away. Yeah, people are just going to supercharge YouTube shorts. You know? That's it. That's what's going to happen. People are going to go to other platforms, and that's precisely what these American-backed and Western-backed social media platforms want. They either want to be able to control TikTok and give it to the hands of, forcibly sell it to an American, or they want to just like eradicate it so that people just use Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. They've all made their competitive products. Okay.
On the table to have a ceasefire, and yet the world is screaming about Israel. It's like, why aren't they screaming about Hamas? Accept the ceasefire, bring home the hostages. It's said it's all the other way around. I mean, typically the Israelis are good at PR. What's happened here? How have they and we been so ineffective at communicating the realities there? And
we're on an intravenous feed of information with new impulses, inputs every millisecond. And of course, the way this is played out on social media has dominated the narrative. And you have a social media ecosystem environment in which context, history, facts get lost, and the emotion, the impact of images dominates. And we can't discount that. But I think it also has a very, very, very challenging effect on the narrative.
a small parenthetical point, which is some wonder why there was such overwhelming support for us to shut down potentially TikTok or other entities of that nature. If you look at the postings on TikTok and the number of mentions of Palestinians relative to other social media sites, it's overwhelmingly so among TikTok.
What they're talking about isn't necessarily that TikTok is woke, particularly. Okay? They're simply stating correctly that TikTok has more left-wing sentiment in it. Like TikTok allows more left-wing sentiment than other platforms. It doesn't mean that it's like overwhelmingly leftist. The argument here is that because TikTok is not controlling the flow of information, they're admitting basically to suppressing any sort of left-wing sentiment. That's it. It's stuff like this. It's stuff like obviously Gaza, but then also Luigi Mangione. Okay? I'm telling you right now.
Keep it that way.
There's only a permissible amount of left-wing sentiment that is allowed on websites, okay? We got to take it out. We got to take out anyone that is a naysayer of the State Department, no matter what the cost. I mean, I'll give you a personal example, obviously.